only team Indiana has not beaten this season. First of 2 straight between these two teams from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They'll do it again on Friday after this one as Mitchell drives, gets to the rim, and gets the Fever started. Here's Asia Wilson knocking down her first look.
She's allowed once in a while.
No question. Wilson's finding some space from the mid-range and connecting.
Ever seen a basketball game where one player's emotions turn the whole thing upside down? That's exactly what happened when Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever faced off against Kelsey Plum and the Las Vegas Aces. Clark, the rookie superstar, went from hero to zero real quick. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just about what happened on the court, the drama that unfolded after the game. That's where things got really interesting. Everyone was hyped to see Clark work her magic against the Aces. But man, did things take a wild turn. Clark couldn't find her rhythm, and the Fever, they just fell apart. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. You couldn't look away, but it was painful to watch. And then there's Kelsey Plum. She came out of nowhere and absolutely took over the game. She shut Clark down and dominated the court like it was her personal playground. The Aces walked away with a 78-74 win, but that's not even the craziest part. What Plum said after the game, that's what really set things on fire. You won't believe what happened next. As Plum dominated, Clark's night took a shocking turn. Remember when Clark was breaking records left and right? Well, this game showed a whole different side of the rookie phenom. Ever seen a star player go scoreless in the first half? That's exactly what happened to Clark, and it only got worse from there. Imagine stepping onto the court, ready to show the world what you're made of, only to have everything fall apart. That's what Caitlin Clark experienced in this game against the Aces. It was like watching a completely different player out there. Clark, known for her sharp shooting and cool demeanor, suddenly couldn't find her rhythm. The first half was brutal. Clark, usually a scoring machine, couldn't get a single point on the board. You could see the frustration building with every missed shot. And then, bam, a technical foul. That's when things really started to unravel. You know how one bad play can sometimes throw you off your game? Well, for Clark, it was like that technical foul opened the floodgates. Suddenly, she was making mistakes left and right. Free throws? Usually money in the bank for Clark, but not this time. She was missing shots she'd normally sink with her eyes closed. But it wasn't just about the missed shots. Clark's whole demeanor changed. She was arguing with refs, getting visibly frustrated, and it was affecting everyone around her. The entire Fever team seemed to feel the weight of Clark's struggles. Coach Christy Sides saw what was happening and knew she had to address it. After the game, she didn't hold back. She said, "We've just got to make sure that we don't let outside things that we have no control over affect us."
And worked really hard on that part of the game. I have a lot of confidence in her to take that shot. I mean, teams are going to scheme against Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. They're going to do everything they can to make somebody else take that three. Made it like a playoff series, you know, so right now we're going home because we just lost 2 games. So we've got to regroup, figure out what we can do to get better, get ready for Dallas. It's going to be really hard to get Caitlin a shot in those possessions. Like, we want to make sure, like, she, you know, between her and Kelsey, you give them both options.
Sides pointed out how Clark's frustration after missing those free throws really cost the team. You could see the impact of Clark's meltdown on the whole team. It was like watching dominoes fall. One player loses their cool, and suddenly everyone's off their game. The Fever, who came in ready to give the Aces a run for their money, were falling apart at the seams. Things got so bad that Coach Sides had to make a tough call. In crucial moments of the game, when you'd expect your star player to be on the court, Clark was sitting on the bench. Can you imagine? The rookie sensation, the player everyone came to see, watching from the sidelines during the most important parts of the game. Before we continue, I'd like to ask for a quick favor. If you're enjoying this content, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of our viewers watch without subscribing, and while it's free for you, it makes a world of difference to us. Have you hit that subscribe button? Awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's get back to the video. While Clark watched from the sidelines, another player took center stage. What if I told you Kelsey Plum didn't just step up? She completely flipped the script on this game. The way she shut down Clark and took control was something else. Let's talk about Kelsey Plum's defense. It was like she had Clark's playbook memorized. Every move Clark tried, Plum was right there, shutting it down. It wasn't just about stopping Clark, though. Plum's defense threw the whole Fever offense off balance. They couldn't get into their rhythm, and you could see the frustration building. Plum wasn't done there. there. She decided to light up the scoreboard herself. 18 points? That's impressive enough. But check this out. She had a game-high plus 17 rating. That means when Plum was on the court, good things were happening for the Aces. It's like she flipped a switch and suddenly everything was going their way. You know what's crazy? There was this moment in the third quarter that changed everything. Clark got called for an offensive foul, and it was like all the air went out of the Fever's balloon. Plum and the Aces, they pounced on that opportunity. From that point on, it was all Aces. Here's where Plum really showed her stuff. While Clark was getting visibly frustrated, arguing with refs, Plum was cool as a cucumber. She kept her head in the game, kept making plays, and kept her team focused. That's the kind of leadership that wins championships, folks. Plum wasn't just scoring. She was hitting clutch shots when the Aces needed them most. Every time the Fever tried to make a run, there was Plum, knocking down a three or making a crucial play. It's like she had an answer for everything the Fever threw at her. As the game wound down, you could see the difference in composure between Plum and Clark. Clark was on the bench, looking defeated. Plum? She was out there, leading her team to victory. The final score was 78-74, but it felt like a much bigger win for the Aces. The scoreboard showed a win for the Aces, but Plum's toughest opponent was waiting off the court. How could a simple halftime comment turn into a PR nightmare? You know how sometimes you say something without thinking, and suddenly everyone's talking about it? That's exactly what happened to Kelsey Plum. During halftime, she made a comment about the Fever's performance that went viral faster than a cat video. When asked about the game, Plum just said, "I don't know. Come back to me later." Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. Fans, especially Caitlin Clark's supporters, took those words and ran with them. They thought Plum was being dismissive, maybe even a little rude. It's like she accidentally poked a hornet's nest, and now the internet was buzzing with angry comments. Imagine being in Plum's shoes. You've just had an amazing game. You're feeling on top of the world. And then bam, everyone's mad at you for something you said without even thinking. The pressure was building for Plum to say something, to explain herself. So what did Plum do? She decided to clear the air. She came out and said, "I thought we did a great job as a team. I just didn't want to say anything stupid." It's like she was trying to say, "Hey, I didn't mean anything bad by it. I was just trying to be careful with my words." But Plum didn't stop there. She wanted to make sure everyone knew she wasn't trying to downplay how hard the Fever fought. She even gave a shout out to Kelsey Mitchell, saying she had a couple on me as well. It's like Plum was saying, "Look, I know they played hard too. It wasn't a walk in the park for us." Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Plum dropped a bombshell about how she deals with all this craziness. She said, "I don't even have social media on my phone." Can you believe that? A pro athlete in 2023 without social media? It's like she's found a secret weapon against all the noise and drama. This whole situation shows just how tough it is to be a pro athlete these days. It's not just about what you do on the court anymore. Every word you say can be picked apart and blown up into this huge thing. It's like playing two games at once, one with the ball and one with the media. So what's the big takeaway from all this drama? It's simple. Keeping your cool is everything, both on and off the court. Clark's meltdown shows how losing your composure can wreck your game and your team's chances. Plum, on the other hand, stayed focused and led her team to victory. But it's not just about what happens during the game. Plum's comments and the backlash that followed remind us that every word matters when you're in the spotlight. It's like walking a tightrope. One wrong move and everyone's talking about it. As the playoffs get closer, you've got to wonder, how will Clark bounce back from this? Can Plum keep her momentum going? And what about their teams? The pressure's only going to get more intense from here on out. Who do you think has what it takes to handle the heat and come out on top?